Picture this: three library staff members trapped inside the South Charleston Public Library. Aaron, Toby, and Josh, each with divergent tastes, tasked with watching each other's films. Can they survive with their sanity intact? Find out on Real Opposites, a library podcast about movies.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Real Opposites. I'm Aaron.
I'm Josh.
I'm Toby.
And we are back to discuss my pick from last time, Adventureland. And so I guess the reason I picked Adventureland is I did see it back when it came out. I saw it in theaters. I can just remember really enjoying it then. I had worked at Cedar Point, which I think I've mentioned on here before. So it was, I believe it was released
2009.
Okay. So it was a little bit after I came back. I did Cedar Point summer of 2007. But I went with my buddy that also worked there to see this, and it was one of those that just really stuck out to me because at the time it was so relatable for me because of everything that goes on at a theme park, as far as for the workers. And so I just wanted to kind of rewatch it like I've been doing with a lot of my picks, rewatch it as an older adult, and just kind of seeing where my tastes are with it.
Adult.
Yeah, and I will say I actually still enjoyed this movie. I think it's a pretty funny movie. It's one of those kind of coming of age movies that were not popular, but like not an independent movie either. But I feel like it still has that kind of independent type feel to it.
It does, yeah.
As a coming of age.
It's very slice of life.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what always draws me to a movie. So, on my rewatch, I still enjoyed it.
I think it was fine. It's funny in parts, and it's a good, solid, it's a solid slice of life dramedy. I did really like a lot of the cameos. I really like Martin Starr and like everything he's in, from like Silicon Valley to Freaks and Geeks.
Oh,
and
yeah.
this.
Yeah,
I like him and everything. He always has really funny parts. He does tend to play this particular kind of character, but I really love that character, and I just felt like there were a couple times where he had like a little monologue, and it was just very funny. Obviously, Kristen Wiig and Bill Hader were great in the little bit scenes that they're in as the managers of the park. It's like, it's perfect. The things that I did like is I can remember being late teens, early 20s, and the people that you thought were cool then are now you're like, oh, that person is a problem. And I feel like the character of Connell was there to fill that in.
Yeah.
I did not find it. I found it relatable and watchable and stuff. I felt like it was not funny enough to really be the comedy I expected. I mean, Kristen Stewart and Jesse Eisenberg go on after this to do American Ultra, right? Which one's fun.
I like
American Ultra.
Yeah.
I think it's very funny.
Set in West Virginia.
Yeah. I haven't seen that, but it immediately started playing it after this.
Oh, yeah. American Ultra is very good.
They do another movie together, Woody Allen's Cafe Society as well.
Oh, yeah.
This I didn't think was funny. A lot of it wasn't really funny, but it was. But I didn't mind it as like a dramedy. I
Right.
guess. Like,
well, that's kind of one thing I was wanting to see from you guys is if you found it as funny as I do. And watching it back, I still do feel like some of the reason I enjoy it that much and I find it funny is because of things that they do in the movie that
did happen.
Is so true to when you're working at an amusement park.
Yeah.
But like a lot of it is also stuff that a non
Any job.
Yeah.
Any kind of customer service job where you're dealing with people.
Yeah. But there are some things that would only happen at an amusement park, and I feel like it's not as funny.
Yeah.
Maybe doesn't come across as funny as it does to me because of that.
I didn't work in an amusement park. I had a lot of friends that did, though.
Yeah.
And I think it's I don't know. I do think there's a little bit, especially I think early on in her career, before Kristen Stewart was out as like a lesbian. I feel like she is very awkward, awkward, not in like a like
chemistry with her male.
Yeah, she just doesn't have any at all. And she's great with other people for the most part. And like later in American Ultra, like they are a couple, but like
I buy them in
have
that
like
one.
a bro-y like kind of friendship.
It is,
And in this, I just like I don't really buy it. But she's I don't know. It was not my favorite of your movies, but it's fine. It was worth watching.
Yeah.
It was fine.
I don't know what it is, but something about Kristen Stewart, I've never been a big fan of her. I don't know what it is about her. Actually, I forgot she was in this movie.
I like her a lot now.
I don't know. And here's the thing. I probably purposely haven't seen a lot of her new movies. So maybe it's worth checking out if it's something like she grew into herself and became better at acting because of it.
I think she's always been a really good actress. She's the first thing I think anybody saw her in was Panic Room.
Yeah.
She's Jodie Foster's
I guess that's true.
daughter.
I
thought she was great in that. Not the Twilight movies notwithstanding.
And not this. Really.
Not the I don't know, when Spencer was the one that really blew me away. I thought she was amazing in that movie.
See, I haven't seen it.
About Princess Diana.
She's also good in that new horror movie.
Oh, Love Lies
Bleeding.
Love Lies Bleeding. That's a great movie. Great movie.
Which I've been wanting to see. So maybe
terrific movie. Definitely her post Twilight career has been more interesting, and she's taken more better scripts.
Yeah, and honestly, some of it might be the fact that she was in Twilight.
I don't fault her. Sure, it was a big payday for her.
Everybody in it. That's a good. That was.
It was, and it was loved by tons of people. Still is.
Well, that's to do whatever you want for the rest of your life, money.
Oh
yeah. It allows her to make whatever she wants to make now, like any kind of weird.
Check out some of her newer stuff then.
I think you definitely like Love Lies Bleeding.
Yeah, that's the one I've been wanting to see.
It's good. It's very good.
And I like Spencer a lot. But American Ultra too, I feel like that's a sharp little movie. It's like Eisenberg's like a kind of Jason Bourne. Living kind of a stoner life out in West Virginia, holler.
Nice.
It's a good one. And I think that I've seen American Ultra and comparing that to this, which they're not at all the same.
No, very different.
They're very different. But being that the two leads are the same people, kind of. In comparison, this movie is a little lackluster.
Yeah,
I think.
and I will say
Mm-hmm.
those two together at this point in their careers is like box office poison. Neither one of these movies did very well, and the criticism on both of them is that they're very not the most charismatic leads you can have in a movie,
right?
And they don't. They work well together, but doesn't really lead to high energy film.
And I would agree with that.
Yeah.
They don't really have a divine sense of self yet that carries. Neither one of them really can carry.
Yeah, they're really character actors. He works as Zuckerberg because he just seems to naturally carry that kind of anxious Woody Allen demeanor. So I remember I saw this whenever it came out on video. I didn't see it in theaters. I still pretty much think about the same thing that I thought then, that they forgot to put the funny in the movie.
Okay.
And the colorful characters.
Yeah.
And the memorable dialogue, or just basically anything that I would be like, yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
Like Toby said, the best thing about the movie is the bit players, the Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig.
Yeah. Kristen Wiig is great in this.
We're not going to forget Martin Starr.
Martin Starr.
We're not gonna forget
yeah, he does play the same thing in every movie.
Yeah, he does, but I do like it.
But he does a good job at it.
That's the friend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It just seems to draw, and honestly, I forgot the movie is set in the 80s.
I did too, actually.
Because Eisenberg and Stewart just don't scream 80s.
It feels it feels like
they feel like they're in a different movie.
Yeah.
And the dressing and the clothes and all that's 80s, but it doesn't really feel like that. Clearly the inspiration for this is Dazed and Confused, Fast Times, A little bit of Clerks maybe,
Yeah.
but because I mean Ryan Reynolds is definitely the Matthew McConaughey
Mhm.
Of Dazed.
of
Yeah.
Days. Well, unlike those movies, which Dazed and Confused is just a riff on American Graffiti.
Mhm.
That one, I'm thinking that one he would be Harrison Ford, that character. But those movies are funny,
Yeah.
and they're like Dazed and Confused is it all takes place in one day, one night,
Mhm.
and it has like a style, like a momentum
Right.
that
Right.
continues to. You're following several different stories, whereas this feels just kind of just sits there,
Mhm.
like there's no propulsion to the narrative and like the funny things that they drop in, like with the Bill Hader and Kristen Stewart, and they just kind of feel like, oh, we need some laughs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's put in some laughs.
The overall story, though, yeah, is also kind of flat. Like, I don't like. They're sweet, and I like them, but I don't. As an adult watching this, I don't want these kids to end up together. Really,
I don't really care if they do.
Yeah,
That's
I like.
the problem.
Yeah, like it's like I don't really care. I think that like I don't know now. Like again, looking at it as a teenager watching, okay, like that would you maybe would care, but like as an adult watching this movie, it's like
Mm-hmm.
but she's sleeping with a married man, and maybe that's not a solid choice in our.
Yeah.
In our partnerships
Well-
here, and she does have like some sad home things that are going on or whatever, but like I don't
care.
Yeah. Well, and
I don't care. Just
I
I
noticed.
want to come. I want to watch your movie. I want to laugh.
Right.
Just like save that stuff for the novelization.
And I noticed that when I was watching through it this time, and I don't know if it maybe goes back to where you said,
They're not high energy
they're
actors.
not high energy actors.
Not in
is,
this. Not
like them
at this
two
period.
together. I was like, I could care less if they're together. Like, I would rather him have stayed with the other girl that everybody wanted.
Yeah, like watching them together is like Valium.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I think that honestly is part of it, but that is one thing that I could care less about was the love part of this movie.
And I feel like that's
and not just because I hate love.
And that's
movies,
the only
love
and that's
part,
the
but-
only plot really to this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Like-
otherwise you're just like you have little snippets of like what it's like to work in an amusement park,
Yeah.
which that would be fun. I would
Yeah.
I'd be okay with more of that, and like, I'd honestly be fine with like kind of an 80s movie staple where it's like, oh, the park's closing, we have to raise money. I don't know. I would go with that over this little love triangle,
Right.
Dramatics.
and it's all built on these like kind of sitcom dynamics anyway. It's like, just tell her the truth, but you can't, and then this and then that, and then everyone's just, I don't know. I don't buy it.
Right.
I don't believe in what's happening in the movie.
Yeah, and I did see that. Like I said, I still enjoyed this movie, but I did see the lack there in the storyline as far as them, and just the amount of no care that I had as to whether they got
together.
No care for you.
no care as to whether they got together and stuff. And like you said, it's always cool when a movie does something like, showing you a little bit what it's like to work in an amusement park or something of that nature. And I think that's where my like for this movie strictly comes from. I don't know if I had not worked at a theme park if this would be something I would even enjoy.
So you've seen Clerks, right?
This is Clerks for amusement
no.
parks.
Yeah, but Clerks is funny.
But Clerks is funny.
But Clerks. So the thing, there's like a quote from Clerks where they're talking about the job and everything. It's like one of them's like, this job would be great if it wasn't for the customers.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's something about like the way he writes that movie where I've never worked in a convenience store. Sadly, never worked in a video store, which seems weird.
Yeah.
But I know people
right.
are generally awful, and I know it's like to deal with those people and like being paid to do that and put up with this stuff.
Yeah.
So, like it's relatable, and
Right.
then it's also like there's funny scenarios that they create. There's like an overall story, like you can sympathize with either Randall or Dante. There's no like anchor for the audience to really like put myself in their shoes,
Right.
because I'm not either of these two boring people. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably pretty boring, but I'm not.
Their level.
Yeah.
And
And what's I was looking it up. Like Greg Mottola, the director.
Mm-hmm.
So he was coming off of Superbad.
Mm-hmm.
oh
Huge hit.
Yeah.
Huge surprise hit. Very funny movie.
Very.
I like that movie a
Yes.
lot.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with this one.
Yeah.
Maybe he
That
just
makes
spent.
you want so much more out of
Yeah,
it.
because I mean, I think that's what they sold it on from the director of Superbad.
Right.
And then,
Yeah, I had that exact reaction.
yeah, and then you just go into this and like, oh, man, where's McLovin?
Yeah.
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 Oh, McLovin. You
and
know what's
that's-
funny? That kid has a real name, and I've never.
Nobody
known it.
knows
And
his
every
real
movie
name.
I've
I'm
ever
pretty
seen
sure-
him in, it's just like there's McLovin again.
I'm pretty sure he's legally changed his name to McLovin at
Right.
this point.
But that's what I was saying earlier about how I still like this movie, but I was curious how you guys would like it, because I do feel like a lot of the funny parts for me comes from working there. I mean, you have and it's not done in a way that anybody can relate to it, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like when I think he mentions it twice. There's a song that keeps playing, and if you work in
Yeah, the
retail or
Amadeus.
something like that, yeah,
Amadeus.
when you work in retail or something like that, you hear a lot of the same songs because they're what's popular.
Yeah.
But when you work at an amusement park, there is literally a list of like 10 songs that play literally all day long, and they're not just because they're popular at the time. And so, like, I would roll laughing at that because to me it's hilarious because it is like that, and you are exactly like that.
That
Like,
was one of the
please
funniest
kill
jokes.
me over that.
That was one of the funniest.
I feel
jokes
like
in
that's
there.
kind of a banal observation, though, because that's
Yeah.
pretty much anywhere you're working. Like, I worked at the gym, and they just had the 102 on all day.
Right.
So it's same dozen songs all day long.
Right. The only thing I think is different is at an amusement park, it's not a radio station that's playing like what's hot now. It's just whatever they decide goes with the theme for that year. So
Oh, okay.
like Amadeus, I mean, I guess Amadeus probably was popular back then when the movie was supposed to be set, but it was just like random songs all the time, and they'd have like certain shows that they'd be putting on, so it was the same songs over and over and over.
I think I just mean like it's too broad of a joke.
Right.
It's not.
I'm
so
saying that's what I think. Is
Yeah.
Only if you worked. I think like the level of it is. I worked at an amusement park and know exactly how that is.
Yeah.
It's not. It's broad, but it's not broad enough to bring you in and make you feel the same.
It's like Clerks gets very specific. Like you have
Right.
the milkmaids, you have the people that come in and are asking, "Is this movie any good?" Like things that are very specific to those jobs.
Right.
That is. I mean, even like if you've never worked at a video store or a convenience store, it's still things that like you're learning something that seems true. Like, oh yeah, I'm sure people do that. I'm sure that's really annoying.
Yes.
And that's what I think they did miss out on all the things that are funny to me.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think they're funny to other people.
Well, and that's the thing is like with Clerks. I mean, not everybody has worked a customer service facing position, but most
No,
people have
a lot
had
of people have.
most people have had that
Right.
like kind of experience, and
It's very like first job.
yeah, and it's easy enough to relate to everybody. And Clerks is delightfully fun, but again, like there's always something else going on. Like the central tension of Clerks is like, there's
It's their relationship.
Yeah,
like
there's a relationship.
Dante and Randall.
there are like 3 or 4 different little like side plots that like
Yeah.
kind of and all of the Clerks movies are funny. So like I don't know, but this was I think compared to, for me, having seen American Ultra and having seen Superbad from 2 different this was very meh. But not like it wasn't bad. I would still watch it. It's fine. It's just, and I like Jesse Eisenberg and I like Kristen Stewart.
I especially like Kristen Stewart.
Yeah.
She's a really great actress. Eisenberg is very like he's playing Eisenberg.
Yeah.
I think, and everything. I liked him as Lex Luthor. I thought he did a good job as like that Zuckerberg as Lex Luthor. I thought was smart. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Together, they're kryptonite.
Yeah, and but I did see, and I thought I just now
Except for
saw
not in
this,
American
but-
Ultra. Like,
Except for not in American Ultra.
Yeah.
yeah.
The movie's got enough like high energy stuff going on though, like
to kind of cover them up a
action
little
and-
bit.
It does,
Yeah.
and they're both playing like stoners, right? So like
Yeah,
it's
so
kind of
it works.
It works when they're kind of laid back.
I saw in the trivia here on it is that the director Greg Matala
Matala, I'm assuming.
actually worked at the original Adventureland
Oh,
park.
okay.
So maybe some of it comes from he thought it
So-
was also funny because
So this is where he spent his credit from Superbad on.
yeah,
He was like,
I
next,
need
I want to make a movie about an amusement.
about my childhood basically. So maybe that's part of it as well, is because he had the experience there too.
I also feel like Kristen Stewart's a weird choice for this very like manic pixie dream girl kind of role that they I don't know, she is this like kind of alternative but like into like into the scene girl in this that like is basically there's a plot point for Jesse Eisenberg to grow up.
Yeah.
And she's a real weird pick for that.
Weirdly though, the screenplay for this movie was on the 2007 Blacklist, which was a list of most unmade scripts of that year.
Interesting.
Huh.
So it pulled some kind of interest from someone. Maybe the way it was written was funny. It just depends on once it was turned into a film and the actors.
I
that
mean,
were
sometimes
delivering
it's
the
just like
lines
you just need that energy. You need
right.
like a good. It needs like, I mean, like a Zoe Deschanel. Somebody who's got
Right.
some like pop to the way they speak, the way they.
Yeah, I think that's what I was missing. Other
Yeah,
than
yeah.
I thought the girl that was like the pretty girl that everybody wanted.
Yeah.
I feel like she had the kind of energy that would have. That's what I felt like. Oh, I just want him to be with her instead.
Yeah.
Like that works.
I'm trying to find
Great soundtrack though.
Yeah,
Great soundtrack.
yeah. Which they originally had 41 songs licensed.
Oh my god.
I'm
And
That's where all the budget went.
14 made the accompanying soundtrack.
Wow.
yeah. But it's totally off. I was thinking for some reason Kristen Dunst in Elizabethtown.
Oh, okay. With,
That's like
Orlando Bloom.
Yeah, I mean she is the manic pixie dream girl character. She's the one that's there to like, oh well, she's not like this popular girl or whatever. She's there for plot development and nothing else, and she's does not have enough quirk to her to really
No.
sell that. I don't.
Yeah.
Which is rough.
I mean, she's better playing like kind of insular characters.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, like the Spencer or Level Ice Bleeding. Or, like it's
Yeah.
not. There you can like see stuff going on behind the eyes, and I mean, it's just broad comedy is not really her strength.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think she would play like the broy, like kind of best friend well.
yeah,
Like that would have been a like,
Totally, she
there is
does.
a movie for this character basically,
Yeah.
but this is not as the lead is not it.
Yeah. And that's I think would have been more interesting. Say it pivoted and Jesse ended up with the other girl and she became the best
Yeah.
friend
Yeah.
or
yeah, no, that would have worked.
the buddy, because they had that trio of friends
Mhm.
and that when they were there as a trio of friends, it worked.
Yes.
Yeah,
Her and him and
Martin Starr.
Joel.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That worked, I felt.
Yeah.
But them as a love interest just didn't work for me as much.
And honestly, it would have been nice to see a movie like this is the what if the movie was better part of the podcast, right? Like it would have been nice. It would be nice to see a movie where like you don't get the girl, so
Yeah.
like, but it resolves with like you get a good friend out of this like this situation, or like you help each other be better people without necessarily like being together or
Yeah.
whatever. I think that could have been fun, but
That's how I would have seen it, and I think would have
Yeah.
made more sense.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the characters had enough to learn from each other
mm-hmm.
in the movie, but not as lovers.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is like it's
Yeah.
this like trope of like love fixing people, and it's like it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I would have rather
You-
seen her end up with Joel.
Yeah, or
Because
or-
like it takes a turn in the movie where she's like sticking up for him big time
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and I could have seen that working
I
in a
could've seen-
in a different way.
Yeah, but then also, like, I feel like Kristen Stewart's character is very much like seeking validation through relationships with men that are not necessarily like healthy relationships or
Right.
benefiting her growth. And so maybe just growing beyond that a bit would have been nice to see, and not something you would have seen very much in 2010.
And that's probably why we didn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not something you see very much in general at all.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I love romance movies. So, like, don't get me wrong there, but I do think this one, I don't know. That one was a hard sell.
I think kind of the trouble with Adventureland is it's trying to be like a little bit of an independent movie,
Right.
but then it's also trying to be this kind of super bad comedy, and it's not really doing either one particularly well. They would have been better to either not sell it as a comedy and make more of a drama, like a more serious coming of age, or just make it a little bit more zany, a little bit more,
Right.
a little bit more color and liveliness or whatever.
Yeah.
Than trying to kind of split the difference, because I think it just ultimately wastes a lot of
As
time.
like an identity crisis a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't really know what it wants to be.
And like I said, watching it back, I liked it still.
Okay.
But I kind of figured you guys wouldn't like it, at least you. Because I did see those problems.
Yeah. Look
Which
at
I
you.
probably wouldn't have done without the podcast. But,
Yeah. Look at you,
but
man.
I was able to spot, like those kind of things, and
Cool.
it did. It just kind of, it has that feeling, which I like about it. It has that independent feeling, but it's not an independent movie, and it doesn't do well with that. It doesn't do enough with it.
But this was fine.
Yeah,
This
It's
was
whatever.
fine. It
Right.
was okay.
But I'm glad Aaron still likes it.
yeah, I do, but like I said, I think it's mainly the
Your personal experience with
personal
amusement
experience.
parks.
Just like with the Summer Loves and somebody being like the talk of the
Like the
amusement
girl that
park
everyone wanted to
and
date.
all that kind of stuff.
Spill the beans, Aaron.
Yeah,
Who
who was this?
Did you have
Oh,
like
man.
a crush at the amusement park? Who was sleeping with who?
I had a couple crushes.
Oh, did you?
Most of them
Anything
like
ever
my
happen?
friend though.
Oh no. That's a tragedy.
Did you
To
say
be
anything?
honest.
It was with your friend?
No, I said most of them liked my friend and stuff.
Oh, not yet.
Oh, that's
but
worse.
it was such an experience, and because it was my first time doing something like that, and it was straight out of high school, and I
This
was
is your first job.
no, it wasn't my first job. I'd had plenty of jobs already, but it was moving away and living on your own, and also I literally knew no one except my friend.
Okay.
So it was just like moving away at 17, living on your own, living in this. We lived in dorms, basically. And so it's this own little community, which this movie didn't have as much because they were able to go home. They were locals,
Yeah.
which you have that. But, your world is that.
It's
for
the
that
summer camp experience, basically. Yeah.
Like your life is Cedar Point at that time, which is where I worked. And it is. It's just all of this, but definitely times 3.
What's the most colorful story you have that you can tell legally?
We're past the statute of limitations on most things.
Yeah.
Probably. But we are at work, so
Well, yeah, we're at work. Let me think.
Let me think.
About me personally.
PG-13, you're allowed like 2 Fs.
Oh, no, I think I'm good. I can tell this one without.
Okay.
So my best friend was a supervisor, and they have certain housing, and you had to have a supervisor badge or a car with a supervisor tag on it to get into those areas. And even if you were of age in the compound, you were not allowed to have alcohol. Of course, it was always flowing everywhere. It was teenagers in early 20s. But not only that, but you definitely couldn't have any local not underage, but any locals under the age of like 21 weren't to be in the area at all. Like locals, for the most part, weren't allowed to stay over or anything like that. And so we had to sneak them in. and I would do that with my friend's car, and I would put these people in a trunk, and I would have to roll by the booth and show my ID, and they'd see the sticker on the car. And then you had to pull into the back parking lot, which, by the way, is only like 10 rows long. Like, they could definitely see you. And then try to park in the darkest spot and pop the hatch and let these kids come out.
How many people did you have in your trunk?
2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining like a circus car with clowns coming out of it. Like 16 people in there.
It was just 2, but it was a small trunk.
Yeah.
But, and we may have been attending
Were they
a party.
alive?
They were this time. And we may have been attending a party being thrown there, and the police may have got called. And, all of us are underage, but they're super not allowed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And
amusement park rules.
Yeah.
Amusement park laws.
But also they were like 16.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And the cops that come to these things are Cedar Point cops, but they're actually not Sevierville.
Like the county cops.
Yeah, what's the name of it?
I don't know the
Cedar
county.
Point is in.
You're the one that lived there.
Oh my gosh, that kills me that I can't think of it right now. But anyways, it's actual cops.
Yeah.
So you have the option of also getting in
actual
legal trouble. And luckily they asked for everybody's IDs, and these kids were like, ours is in the bedroom. And they snuck off to the bedroom and never came back out. The cops never asked them anything. But I did have to go to like the main person at the games area and get my ID back. So that was
a little embarrassing.
A little bit embarrassing.
So this was happening after hours?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was like late at night.
I don't know if you guys were like 10
dorms.
a.m. partiers. I don't know.
No, I'm sure there were. But no, and I think especially at that time, I was working the arcade, which was horrible, and the outside game. So I was working 2 shifts anyways. So I definitely wasn't a morning partier.
I can't I don't know. I don't know many people that don't have a teenage get in the trunk story.
I
Because
don't.
I
was
one.
like,
Really?
I've never really met anybody else with
Oh
this.
no,
I fit in 'em.
I had one friend that did not have. Yeah, that's fair. You're tall.
I've never got him.
I had one friend, and her parents had ridiculous rules where she was not allowed to be in the car with more than one teenager at a time. So anytime we all wanted to go somewhere, and I should make it clear, we're not in we're in our senior year of high school. We're not I actually had cancer at the time. I had graduated, so I'm just in my gap year where I was sick. And
answering it out.
Yeah, cancer it up, hanging out with and we go to pick this girl up, and it's my car, but I'm like, I'll just get in the trunk, and they're like, anytime we went to go pick her up for something, anyone who wasn't the driver or who was the driver, but we could only have one other teenager in the car, so everybody would just crawl into the trunk, and we would go a block around. We go around the block, and everyone gets out and gets in the. And we're like,
so
how?
Did she have? What was her reasoning?
Her parents didn't want more than one teenager in the car.
You get more than one teenager together, and hormones going.
Well, the idea,
right?
What's going to happen in
the
that
idea
car?
is it would be it's more distracted. The teenagers are more distracted if there are more of them in the car. I mean, it does kind of make sense, but also,
I mean, I've heard of that.
She's 8, but we're not.
Yeah, you're 18.
No,
right.
Yeah, we're 18.
It depends on the kids. I wouldn't let some 24-year-olds.
Yeah,
right. That's
more
true.
than one person in the car.
Yeah. But I just remember because my friends were like, "Why are we putting?" They're like, "It's your car. Why are you getting in the trunk?" And I'm like, "Because no one else will fit."
I enjoy my trunk.
I was like, "When else do we have this opportunity?" Really. But no, it was anytime that we had to pick her up, we had to shove everyone else out of sight for her mom. It was weird.
I have no trunk stories, whether putting you in or getting in myself.
Never snuck into a drive-in with extra people in the trunk and
no
stuff.
Drive-ins were dead by the time.
She's trying to age you.
No. We had
She's
a drive-in.
back in the 40s. Did you?
No, we had a drive-in that charged by the person, not just by the car.
No, I mean we.
Yeah,
I honestly don't remember. The last time I was at a drive-in was in '94.
Yeah, no, we still had a
Would that
drive-in.
be the one in
The one was it?
That's now 84 Lumber.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's where we went all the time.
we still had a drive-in when I was a teenager in South Carolina.
Yeah.
that we
Well,
went to.
Lucky you.
It was good.
Yeah.
I don't remember
I
if
wish
they
we
charged by
had
the
one.
car or not, though.
I was thinking it was by the car, but I don't know.
It probably was.
Because I can remember like everybody piling into the car.
It was cheap. I mean, I think it was only like $5 a person for like all
Yeah.
3 movies or whatever. But like they did charge by the person, so we would sneak people in.
That's what we're missing in life these days are movie drive-in theaters.
Yeah.
It would be cool. I mean, I'd
Yeah.
love to go to the drive-in.
That's been
Especially now, like, you can just Bluetooth the sound out
Right,
of your
exactly.
stereo. It's not some little rinky-dink tin can
Yeah.
that you
Which-
put on your windshield.
which we had one at my house growing up because my dad forgot to.
Did he steal one of the...
No, he didn't mean to, but
Well, I think he
just
did.
drove off with it.
Well, whether you intend to or not.
Well, yeah, I guess he stole
Aren't
it.
they
but-
wired in?
Yes,
Yeah.
it ripped off.
Ow.
He didn't. He forgot to take it out of his window and just took
Wow.
off.
Like
Nice.
I always like. I mean, we used to go to the drive-in a bunch because it was like you could. Yeah, there's like the kids movie and there's like the PG-13 and then there's like the.
Yeah.
And by the time the adult movie is on,
The kids are asleep.
kids are
hopefully.
asleep.
Yeah,
So it's like a whole.
It's a cool
It's a
experience.
nice little experience.
is.
We
for
need
the
it back.
family.
The last
We
one I
need
went
those.
to was a double feature of Jurassic Park and Mrs. Doubtfire.
Interesting. That'd
That's
be
great.
fun.
I can't remember the other movie, but the one I definitely remember was seeing Independence Day.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Yeah, but I don't remember what the other one
Was
was.
Was that at the one here?
Mhm.
It was still around in 96?
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
All right, so I guess that kind of brings us to the end. Now that we've talked about the Adventureland, we've
Mhm.
talked about getting in trunks
Yes.
and
Adventures
drive-in.
Adventures at
At
an
the
Adventureland.
Right.
Kind of.
Yeah,
amusement
that's true.
park.
My own adventures, and then drive-in theaters and how we miss those. So now that we've covered all that, I guess it's time to go ahead and pick what we'll watch for next time around. Oh, there it goes. Let's see.
The machine.
Where's it at? Oh, I think it's mine.
Oh yeah, another Aaron movie.
What is it? Why do you have that grin?
Why do you think it's yours?
Because I know it's mine.
I would hope you'd recognize your own handwriting.
Well, I feel like I'm the only one that would put this in here too. Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Oh, I've not seen this one. Mm-mm.
Denise Richards.
Kirstie Alley, Kirsten Dunst.
I think Denise Richards.
Maybe. She might be. Have you seen it?
No, I remember seeing the trailers when it came out,
Okay.
but I have not actually seen it, I don't think.
I love this movie. I will say there is some things that aren't as PC as they would be today.
Eh.
Not much though, but it's to me it's a hilarious movie. I can't believe we're watching 2 of mine back to back. I'm so excited.
I can totally believe it. The universe,
yeah.
the universe just has its way with me.
Well, hopefully you guys will like this one better.
I'll probably like this one more.
I
I've,
do-
I've actually heard this is pretty good.
I will say I definitely feel like this is a lot funnier
Okay.
It does have Denise
in my opinion.
and
But
Kirsten Dunst and some.
what was
Larkin.
do you know what the release date was? Do you have it there?
1999.
Okay. I guess join us next time when we talk about my next pick, Drop Dead
I
Gorgeous.
mean, eventually you'll run out of picks.
Eventually,
Right.
you'll be out.
Well, I feel like there for a while we
No, I
weren't
know.
doing any of mine.
I know. We didn't. It was me and Toby's.
Yeah, because I was like, eventually it's just going to be mine in there.
yeah. Now we're paying
So
for it.
we're paying. You're paying for it.
I don't feel like a ton of mine have come up, so I don't want to be.
I don't know. Anyways, regardless, join us next time as we talk about Drop Dead Gorgeous. But until then, I'm Aaron,
I'm Josh.
I'm Toby.
and this has been The Raw Opposites.